Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. As the Premier League continues to approach ever so slightly, we continue our brief mini-series as we discuss all the main contenders to the champions Arsenal, the signings they've made, their summers as it's been, the new managers that it could potentially come in, and what that means for the football club, and what my expectations are for them going into this new season. And today's episode is about Chelsea. If you guys have never tried Maltesers, I'm not sponsored by them. Absolutely incredible chocolate. Incredible. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning member, welcome back. Please, if you guys enjoy the content you're seeing, like, comment, subscribe, hype the videos. The only way this channel will continue to grow and get better is by your support. So if you want to see the channel continue to grow, more content, better content, please support. It's free. Now, where on earth do you even really start with Chelsea? You could talk about so many things that's happened at Chelsea this summer. Huge changes that continues to occur at this football club. It feels like every 6 months, from the sacking last season of Enzo Maresca, even though it felt like he was starting to build something, the sacking of Liam Senior in an appointment that was doomed from the very beginning, and now the subsequent appointment of Xabi Alonso. Of course, it feels as though there's a different aura surrounding the appointment of the former Liverpool man and the former Real Madrid manager. I mean, just by the statement that they made in the announcement of the arrival of the manager, they described him as the manager rather than the head coach or something of that ilk. It feels like an appointment that marks a new era possibly for Chelsea. Perhaps the club is starting to look towards giving the manager a bit more overarching power and a bit more of the ability to make the calls when he sees fit, whether it be signing players that perhaps the board don't probably believe they need, but actually going out there and making those signings for the manager, because at the end of the day, the manager is the one who makes the shots. The manager is the one who sends out the team, and the manager is a huge factor in depending on how well the team will do in the subsequent season. And with that power, Xabi Alonso has made a whole lot of changes. Of course, there have been a few Bluco signings, as I like to call them, and I precisely describe them as signings that don't help Chelsea in the now. We don't know whether they'll help Chelsea in the future, and most likely these players will play about 10 games for the club before being sold for 50 million profit, despite never proving anything at Chelsea to be warranting of that price. They signed Palestra from Serie A. I can't remember exactly which team he came from, and that's probably not the best look on me as a football creator, but they signed Palestra, of course, as well as Quenda from Sporting Lisbon. It's been a signing that they said that they would get done for a really, really long time. And those are two wing backs, or wingers in the case of Quenda saying that he doesn't want to be a wing back. Palestra coming from Atalanta. And those are two young signings, two young players who they believe. Palestra had a really good season in Atalanta, one of the best players in the Serie A last season in his position. So they'll be hoping that he can transfer that form to Chelsea and offer them something a bit more in those fullback areas, especially with the departure of Marc Cucurella, which in my opinion was a big departure, because Marc Cucurella has shown to be a very consistent performer in these last few seasons in a Chelsea side that has been very, very volatile. Quenda, of course, we don't really know what he's going to be. We're not really too sure what his ceiling is, but we've seen bright sparks at Sporting Lisbon. I won't sit here and tell you guys I watch Liga NOS every single week, but Chelsea fans will be hoping that he can bring that talent to the team, whether it be in the right wing back position or farther up the field. Of course, the two main signings are Maxence Lacroix, which is a big signing in my opinion from Crystal Palace, because it is a signing that really earmarks, as I mentioned before, a possible new era at Chelsea where they're not so focused on signing players who are 21, 22. They're not so focused on signing players that they can make a flip on. I mean, Maxence Lacroix is a very, very good age. He's a player who's entering the prime of his career, if not already in it. He's a player that's been at Crystal Palace, knows the Premier League, was very successful in that back three under Oliver Glasner, and has proven that he can be in a winning side. He has a lot of great attributes that you need in a modern-day center back. He's fast, he's strong, and he's very decent on the ball. And in a Xabi Alonso team, who we know is a very flexible manager. My OGs watching the channel will remember that video I made years ago when he was at Leverkusen and he showed his ability to be versatile, whether it be playing a back three, a back four, a back five even. So Maxence Lacroix will be very important to that. I think center back has always been a position that Chelsea have struggled in. Of course, with the injury of Colwill last season, they were kind of just picking at absolute bums last season, whether it be Trevor Chalobah, who's left the club now to Como, or Tosin Adebayo, or Uncle Tosin as they call him, or Badia Chile and Axel Disasi, the treacherous twins from France. So Chelsea have really struggled in that center back position, but now with Colwill coming back from injury and Lacroix coming in as well, they'll be hoping that those two can form two in a back three perhaps, or form a great partnership in a back two. And the biggest signing of all, I already made a video about it, so if you wanted to hear a more in-depth analysis into this signing, you can click here. The video will be printed or pasted right there for you guys to go watch it. Is Morgan Rogers. And Morgan Rogers is a huge signing. I talked about all the positives in that video as well as the negatives. Long story short, I think the positives are just his ability to play in a lot of positions. And I think, again, it allows Xabi Alonso to do a lot of things. He can play with or instead of Palmer. He can play with or instead of João Pedro. So Morgan Rogers is an established player in this league and will definitely offer Chelsea a lot of things. So in that sense, you have a few players that Chelsea have signed. Of course, they've had a few other players that they signed that I don't particularly care about. I think Valentin Barco has come from Strasbourg in that blue ecosystem of football clubs. But the main ones are Lacroix and Rogers. But then you have a few other players that they've signed that don't really feel like footballing signings, but feel more like cultural signings and feel more like signings to change the mood and change the morale and change the feeling at the football club. And for a long time, I've said at Chelsea that Chelsea don't buy players to actually improve the footballing team. It feels more like they're just buying players to increase the value of the football club. But with these two signings, these are two players, Welbeck and Jordan Henderson, who are in the latter stages of their career. They're two players that probably you wouldn't relate with Chelsea at this moment in their project. And they're not football players that you would expect a team like Chelsea, who are striving for Champions League football, to be acquiring at this stage. But they are players that Chelsea have gone for. And Danny Welbeck, we saw last season, I think he scored his record most goals he's ever scored in a Premier League season last year at Brighton. I think Danny Welbeck is genuinely the governor. He's one of those players that it doesn't matter what situations he's in. It doesn't matter who you put around him. The guy's going to get goals. The guy's going to impact the game. The guy's going to help you be a better team. And these past few years, he struggled with injuries, of course, in his earlier career. But I think as he's gotten older, the guy's become an Iron Man. He barely misses games, consistently plays football, and he's just so dependable. And I think him coming in, he's a player who's played with so many great players, played at Manchester United, played at Arsenal, played under Alex Ferguson, played under Arsene Wenger. This is a manager, or this is a player that's going to bring experience to the football club. And in a Chelsea team that's full of young players. And Xabi Alonso said it himself. We're not just buying players that help the team now. We're buying players that improve the culture at the football club. And I think Danny Welbeck, along with Jordan Henderson, will do that. Whether you needed to go out and actually buy these sort of players, I don't know. Perhaps could you have gone and bought players that actually help you on the footballing side of things, as well as offering that experience? I don't know. Maybe those options weren't on the market. But in my opinion, these aren't deals that in any way hurt Chelsea. These are deals that the positives are definitely there to see. They're the intangibles. They're the things you can't quantify. And in terms of the negatives, I don't think there's really any negatives. I doubt any of them are on ridiculous wages. I doubt any of them are going to be striving to be playing minute after minute, game after game, especially with the reduced number of games that Chelsea are going to be playing this season with no European football. So I think these are just two signings, sort of like managers within the team, especially Jordan Henderson. I think Danny Welbeck will definitely play a role. If Liam Delap continues to play at the abysmal level he played last year, Danny Welbeck will probably be the backup striker. Actually, probably not even the case, because Nicholas Jackson is back as well. But I think Chelsea are trying to move him on as desperately as they can. But I wouldn't be surprised if I see a world where Danny Welbeck is coming off the bench to play games for Chelsea consistently this season. So I'm not really mad at either of those signings. I think integrating those players into this team under Xabi Alonso, a very, very versatile manager, a manager who, in my opinion, was wrongfully sacked at Real Madrid. I made an entire video on that. And now, after many months, you're starting to see that he was not the problem at Real Madrid, right? So him coming to Chelsea is definitely an opportunity for him to right the wrongs that happened at Real Madrid. I think it's an opportunity for him to consolidate that incredible feat that he achieved in Germany. I think some people forget what Xabi Alonso actually did in Germany. This man was one game away from winning an undefeated treble. An undefeated treble. He was an Ademola Lookman hat-trick away from an undefeated treble in Bayern Munich's Bundesliga. Let's not forget that. So Xabi Alonso, for me, is a top coach. He's a very, very modern coach. And as I said before, shown that he's versatile to play different styles of football. And with a squad of players that are very young, very flexible, and very adaptable, he'll probably be hoping that he can mold them to play the way that he wants. And I think a huge player that's going to really signify where Chelsea go this season and where Chelsea have been going these past few seasons is Cole Palmer. And of course, now Morgan Rogers coming into the team, a good friend of Cole Palmer. He'll be hoping to get back to that elite level that he showed 2 seasons ago. In my opinion, ever since that season where Cole Palmer, I believe he scored, 30 to 40 goals in all competitions, the guy has been absolutely average. I mean, the season after that, when they went to the Club World Cup, I think those Club World Cup performances kind of faded everybody's perception of the performances that Cole Palmer had been dropping that season because he wasn't good that season. And then last season, struggled with injuries, and even when he did play, he didn't look that convincing. So I think this is a huge season for Cole Palmer. A lot of people get on the back of Phil Foden and they say Phil Foden is washed. They say Phil Foden is not a good player and Phil Foden should be sold and Phil Foden should never be called up to the England team. But I look at Phil Foden and I look at Cole Palmer in the same boat, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think Phil Foden might be 2 years older than Palmer, but it's the exact same boat where Phil Foden has shown us glimpses. Cole Palmer has done the same. Phil Foden has shown us a real season of elite football in that season where he won the PFA and led Man City to a Premier League title. Cole Palmer did the same thing that same season at Chelsea. He was probably the highest goals and assists record in the entire league, all players considered, I believe, apart from Erling Haaland. So Cole Palmer showed that level, and so is Phil Foden. But you don't, in my opinion, I don't think you see that same berating, that same bickering, that same criticism for Cole Palmer as compared to Phil Foden. So this season for me, I think the last 2 seasons you could give him the excuses. He's been playing a lot of football. He's been struggling with injuries. He's been overworked. This season, there's no excuses. You didn't get called up to the World Cup. There was no international football for you to play. And now this season, there's no European football for you to play. 38 games in the Premier League, a few games in the Cups here and there. This is your opportunity to show what Cole Palmer is all about. And I think Cole Palmer goes, wherever Cole Palmer goes is as far as Chelsea is as far as Chelsea will go. However well Cole Palmer plays this season is how far Chelsea will go. So Xabi Alonso will be hoping that he can perform at that elite level, and he'll be hoping that he can really guide this team to a good season this year. And just as I mentioned in the Liverpool video, Chelsea are definitely a team to watch out for. All of these contending teams are ones to watch out for because, again, with Chelsea, you have that similar uncertainty around both clubs, just like with Liverpool, where you have a new manager coming in. Of course, in my opinion, I think Xabi Alonso is a lot more established and dignified in the game than Anthony Raiola. But you're coming to a Chelsea team that has really lacked direction for a long time now, in my opinion. And I think the moment they were just starting to find their feet, the moment they were just starting to catch that wave, they threw it all away with Enzo Maresca and signed Liam Sr. So now you're coming in under a board that has proven to be very volatile and has proven to be very, very, very excited when it comes to sacking managers. And you're also coming to a football club that has very, very high expectations when it comes to the fan base. So Xabi Alonso has a lot ahead of him, but he does have good pieces. Enzo Fernandez, it looks like he might be, I won't say he's going to Manchester City, but it looks like he's trying to leave the football club. Whether he leaves or not, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, you still got players like Moises Caicedo. You've got Lacroix that we talked about coming in. Levi Colwill coming back from injury. Reece James is still a very, 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 very high-level footballer. You've still got decent players in and around the squad as well, like Romeo Lavia, who struggles with injuries, but when he does play, is just so top. Palestra coming in, as we said, as well. João Pedro, for me, is a brilliant footballer. And I think Danny Welbeck coming in is going to continue to help him to grow as a player, just as we saw at Brighton. So there's all the pieces for Chelsea to do something really good this season. And I think a huge factor in that is no European football. The fact they're not going to be playing Champions League or Europa League or even Conference League games, I think just benefits the squad as a whole. Having that time on the training ground, having that time to really digest what Xabi Alonso wants them to do. We saw with Man United last season. I don't think Man United as a team is a third place in the league level team. But when you're not playing games as consistently because you're not having those games in between Premier League games, you have more time to rest. You have a bit more time to digest what the manager wants you to do. You have a bit more time to work on things that you probably wouldn't be able to when you have games 2 to 3 days. So it could go either way, because on the other side of things, while you have all those positives, there's also the uncertainties with this team. The young players in the squad who showed last season that they really, really lack direction. Can Xabi Alonso bring that direction? You saw the fan base really, really growing frustrated at many points throughout the season. You saw Bluco very, very excited, as I said, to sack a manager whenever there was even just a little bump in the road. Is Xabi Alonso really going to be given that amount of power that we believe he's been given based on the announcement that they made, based on the signings that have been made? Is this going to be Xabi Alonso's project, or is this just another pawn in Bluco's scheme? We'll have to wait and see. as well as just the energy around Chelsea. As I mentioned, Cole Palmer, is he going to hit that level this season? Is Moises Caicedo going to continue to play at a high level? Are players like Levi Colwill going to come back from injury and play well? Are players like Robert Sanchez, who have shown themselves to probably not be good enough at this level, but it looks like Chelsea are going to be trusting him for another season? Are players like Joao Pedro going to hit that next level? Are players like Liam Delap going to rediscover that Ipswich level? There's a lot of uncertainty at Chelsea because on one hand, with all the positives, you can see them finishing as high as third, perhaps even finishing second. But on the other hand, if a few bad results go here and there, you have a few players who perhaps don't play that well, you have a few injuries to players who have shown to themselves to be injury prone, the likes of Cole, the likes of James, the likes of Lavia, Cole Palmer likewise. Would you be surprised if Chelsea fall to 8th, 9th, 10th in the league? Xabi Alonso losing a job in the process? You wouldn't be surprised. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited to see what Chelsea do. You guys know me. I'm not particularly interested in this Chelsea project. I'm interested now because it feels like there's probably a new leaf being turned and there is a bit more trust being instilled in the manager, and it does feel as though perhaps Chelsea are actually trying to become a winning project rather than just a money-making scheme. But I'll have to wait and see. But as always, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments section. What do you guys think about Chelsea going into this new season? What do you make of all the potential positives? The new manager coming in, new players coming in to consolidate this squad of very young and very able players. Do you think those older players will provide that experience that this young group needs? And as well as the potential negatives, do you think a new manager coming in could actually hurt the team? Do you think the Blue Co will actually allow Xabi Alonso to instill what he wants in this team? And do you think that these young players who are very inexperienced will finally find a bit of consistency and lead Chelsea back to where they want to go? Let me know all that and a whole lot more down in the comment section. As I said, like, comment, subscribe. I am traveling tomorrow, so I can't guarantee I will get you the Tottenham video, which is going to be the next video. Can't guarantee you what do we think of Tottenham, by the way? I can't guarantee you I will get you that video tomorrow, but I'll do my very best. At most, I will try and get it to you before the Community Shield final, which is on Sunday, I believe. So look out for that. After that will be Manchester United, and then we finish with Enzo Maresca's City. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, take care of yourselves, and goodbye.